All right. 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 So today we're going to talk about something that I think is important to just the overall development of people. What if I told you that the reason you feel constantly pulled in every direction, outworked, underrested, neglecting your health while chasing success, or sacrificing your relationships for your ambition isn't a personal failure? What if the very system you're navigating were designed to keep you off balance? And so we're going to talk about kind of the nature of balance and that looks like in what that looks like in regular life and just some of the importance of balance. Today we're going to explore balance, not as some mystical achievement reserved for monks or gurus, but as a natural law, a trait that is represented a representative of masculinity, hardwired into the fabric of reality itself. And more importantly, we're going to show you exactly how to reclaim your balance. Balance is simultaneously everywhere in nature, but it's not many places in modern life. And for the most part, it's not really done accidentally. So let's look at a couple things. First thing I want to look at is where you work. A lot of people or in some form in the corporate model. And the corporate model is a system that benefits off of the imbalances. And just about every business model that I've been aware of or have experienced, you make profit off of someone else's imbalance and supplying that balance back to them. Now, it could be just a simple desire, it could be a physical ailment, it could be a lot of things that cause this imbalance, whether it's a need or want, whatever. But the corporate model is built off of it. It looks for that. Any business model you kind of play with is searching for pain points. And then also in the corporate model is this hustle mentality where you work and work and work and work to achieve and achieve and achieve and achieve. And it's kind of celebrated to work to exhaustion. The average American checks their work email 15 times per day, even when they're on vacation. And if that's not saying something, if that's not a staggering statistic, regardless of the level of truth that it applies to your life, you can see how it represented for yourself. It might not be email, it might be some other form that work is constantly tugging at you. Another imbalance that we all experience, at least a lot of men do, growing up, you usually stick to two things, and that's school and sports. And both of these activities or both of these environments are beneficial to a person's growth. But at the same time, when we look at sports, it's a constant push of competition. It's constantly me versus them. It's constantly win at all costs. And that's not the nature of balance. That's not the substance of, I wouldn't even call it equal, because balance isn't always equal. And then we have school, whether it's the standardized testing, whether it's the grades, whether it's the social pressures, the emotional roller coaster, just about everything that comes with school is to throw you off of your center that you might have came into the building with. Whether it's the directions that are given or the activities and tasks that are implied, you're not put in your natural state of being a human. And then the third place that we tend to find our most of our imbalances is internal. We have external imbalances that creates these internal imbalances of ideology, our confidence wane, our purpose wane, how we think about ourselves and those who are around us begins to project the imbalances that we have to deal with externally. It could be just a simple imbalance of your checkbook, balancing the time you want to spend with your family with the time that is required to acquire enough coin so that everybody is happy, that the lifestyle is provided for. Most men aren't failing at balance. Balance is a fundamental masculine trait, in my opinion. Most men are succeeding at navigating the inherently imbalanced world, and that success is killing them. Whether it's the heart disease, the diabetes, the depression, the divorce, these aren't really random afflictions. These are the results of prolonged imbalances. The universe, for whatever you use that word for, which is just, for me, it's everything around you externally that you can perceive with your senses. So the universe is based on the law of balance. It's not so much like the corporate model or the school or the things that we create. Nature is the epitome of balance. Whether we're talking about balancing an equation in chemistry, where you have to take this compound with this compound and put them together or else it becomes unstable, really reactive, explosive even as far as things as your diet, or let's just leave it at diet. Even in the aspect of things like what you eat in your diet requires a level of pH balance to create homeostasis within the body, to help your body maintain those levels energetically, mentally, and emotionally. You see the law of balance even in areas of mathematics and physics. I teach algebra, and in the fundamental basis of algebra, there's a thing where we always have to balance the equation. So if you remember back in your algebra class, or if you're currently in an algebra class, you probably heard your teacher say 1,000 times or something similar to this 1,000 times. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side of the equation. because math is a representative of nature. And so it has to remain balanced for it to even make sense. And you see this in Newton's third law, where every action has an equal or opposite reaction. You see this in just the simple equilibrium of a triple beam scale, where you maybe take those grams and those milligrams, and you're playing with the scale on both sides, and you don't see it level out until you know both sides are equal. Nature has a balancing ratio. It's called the golden ratio. It's so mathematical that it appears everywhere and you can calculate it. You've probably seen this depicted with the little square that has the spiral going through it, and it connects to bigger and bigger squares or rectangles. And you definitely see this balance in nature. It's hard not to. Whether it's the ecosystem of predators and prey, maybe you have 1,000 squirrels around your house. And you would love for whatever eats squirrels to come and balance it out. Because you understand the natural order of things is, if there's too many, something's going to come and take some from it to make it beneficial to all involved. You see this in the seasons, whether you see this in the seasons on how the earth rotation balances with the weather patterns, whether it's winter, spring, summer, or fall. It's something that repeats itself continuously. It's a cyclical nature that constantly goes. And that brings me to kind of why I think balance is a masculine trait. I believe most men that look like me. And when I say look like me, it's not nothing like your melanin don't have to be popping like mine's do, or you ain't got to have a gold tooth or wear a turban. But when I say look like me, is you have the vision that I have. You see things in a natural state of harmony. And when it's not in a natural state of harmony, you look to create it. And that's what I mean. And I think historically you see that in whether it's like the warriors or the men who fight for the country or fight for the tribe or for the family. Those men have a high level of aggression, but if it's not balanced with a high level of restraint, you don't look to them as the warrior they are, because there's no balance there. Being a provider or being in a position to provide allows you to balance. Well, it doesn't allow you to balance. If you're not careful, you would need to balance the ambition that comes with climbing the corporate ladder, succeeding in your jobs, doing well, and the presence of being there for the people you're providing for. Philosophically, Stoicism says the balance between what you can control and what you can't control. That's a statement that you probably heard before. Being able to balance what you can and can't control is kind of the gateway that leads the balancing of your internal mechanism called you. But even in other aspects, even in other aspects, the tradesman or the craftsman has to balance itself between its creativity and its precision. The teacher has to balance between the knowledge given and the capability of the kids. Like in most aspects of a man's life, he is looking to balance things out. But somewhere along the way, masculinity became associated with extremes, whether that's extreme toughness, extreme work, or even extreme suppression. But I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe that any respected man throughout history were on those extremes. I believe the respected man or the masculine man I believe the masculine man balances and uses that balancing ability as a source of strength. He uses that as a way to maneuver and navigate for themselves and for others. So the conflict becomes when we take these natural states that are all around us in the universe, and then we're combining them with these social designs that are pretty much based on the opposite of what nature entails. Naturally, we're seeking equilibrium. Societally, we're seeking profit. And in that game, we can feel overwhelmed by the imbalance. But I want to assure you that it's not really a sense that, what's the word? It's not, I don't want you to be in a negative place or a negative space because of these feelings that come up from these imbalances. Because it's not entirely like a you thing. It's just an awareness thing. Let's look at an example. Say you married, 2 kids, got a good job, working your way up, but you find yourself working 50, 60, 70 hours a week. You see that your body isn't in the peak physical condition that you want. Your relationship isn't at that optimum level, that level where you feel like you're receiving as much as you give. Your mental state fluctuate with whatever project is up next. And your identity as the provider is still strong, but it feels like in those provisions, you are missing out on things that are just as important to you. So we're going to take a deeper look into these components. First, dealing with the financial balancing. Realize that you're earning more. Financially, you have to realize what you're really earning versus what you really need. I'm not going to say that that's ever an easy choice to not earn more, but it has to be a choice to where it's not taken away from something that's worth more. Financial pressure is part of the game of this thing we call America, life. I think it's everywhere. And as a man, young man, old man, or somewhere in between, you have to balance the pressure that comes from creating profit for yourself and your family. But in that, you have to know that the family is always the priority. You have to realize that if you are pushing yourself 60, 70 plus hours a week, you are creating not only an imbalance with your relationships that you care about, you are creating an imbalance in your own energy supply that you're using. Working 60, 70 plus hours, I get it. Times it's necessary to accomplish whatever the task is at hand. But that type of workload needs recovery time as well. Or else it'll start to affect other aspects of their life, like health. Health is a huge component because health is probably the main component of wealth. I know wealth is generally pushed as a profit-driven situation, and it is. Like, money does help create wealth. But without being in a healthy state or having a healthy body, the money's not really worth spending. Or the money gets spent on trying to maintain that healthy state and healthy body. So what we have to do in these situations where we feel the imbalances of society versus the natural laws of life and what we want to provide for that life, we have to start to leverage our habits to create the balances that we want. And what do I mean by that? I got a couple ideas that I use, a couple of examples that I use for myself. So one of the things that I do to leverage my habits, because I want to maintain a certain level of health, a certain level of performance, energy, and whatnot, I build routines and systems to check off things that I know I need. If I know I'm going to be working hard on a project or on something, I know I'm going to need time for rest. If I know I'm going to be sitting down at a computer most of the day, I know I want to schedule time to be moving and active at a high level. If I know that I'm going to be working long stretches of time, I want to make sure I already meal prep so I have the fuel to make that time worth it. And even with relationships, it's important that we build or structure time for those who are important for us. Maybe that's a date night with your significant other. Maybe that's a date night with your kids. Maybe that's just a family board game night. But creating that system that is repeatable and consistent will allow that balance to almost occur on its own. Just like the imbalances we kind of sign ourselves up for by, being here. Those ones that we use to level the playing field that we're working with, those can be just as scheduled. And it doesn't take away from you for scheduling them. It's actually good on your part. Because what you want to be able to do, is to balance all of it so that there's an ease of stress and pressure from the outside and from the inside. So let's define balance. It's not really equal time allocations. So balance isn't setting your schedule to say, okay, I'll work 8 hours, I'm going to sleep 8 hours, I'm going to play 8 hours. Now that sounds good, and it might work for you, but it's not necessarily that. It's not perfection. It's not this has to happen every single time or else I'm off balance. I can't be me. I can't get things done. But it's also not a compromise. It's not settling for the mediocrity in everything that's around you just to stay even keel. What balance is that it's a constant adjustment, a constant navigation. When you think about the balance that you do on your feet, just in walking, you will walk up steps, down steps, around steps, on rocks, grass, gravel. It's not many things that can throw you off balance because you have mastered the balance of walking. Now things can trip you up, but that's okay. Because you mastered the skill already and because you have a system in place on how you walk, a lot of the times you get tripped up and don't even fall. And if you do, it generally just means you got to get back up and keep doing it again. Balance is the sustainable cycle. If you work hard, you want to recover hard. If you focus intently, you want to relax intentionally. You want to create this loop of activity that leaves you motivated, energized, and ready to go to the next thing. Whatever that setup might look like, it's to each his own. And then you want to align investments. You want resources flowing towards you so that you can compound them and not just resources depleting you. And that you can extrapolate that to any aspect. You want the love of your children coming in. You want the profits of your business coming in. You want the affection of your woman coming in. You don't want to just deplete yourself of everything without anything in return, because that's balance as well. But how do you get that love from your kids? How do you get that affection from your woman? How do you get that profits in your business? Is that you have to be present. You have to be present for the kids. You have to push for the profits. And you have to be present for your lady. If at any time you focus too heavily on one, you're losing the others. So I got a little balance framework. Just a couple of things. The first one is your physical balance. That's your inputs, your outputs, your stress and recovery. Your movement and your stillness, strength and mobility. The balance that you get from this physical vessel. Then your inputs, outputs, we already kind of hit on that. That's just what you're eating. Are you creating a harmonious situation there? When it comes to your stress and recovery, we hit on that too. Now, this other one, movement versus stillness. That's one I like to dig into a little bit further because you understand activity and movement. It's been present in your life, probably your whole life, as long as you can remember. You understand handling tasks, getting things done, moving the needle. But do you understand stillness? So I've been meditating for a while. I don't know, a long time. Let's just say a long time. And the art of stillness, the practice of stillness, for me, is absolutely mandatory. It's absolutely mandatory that I sit with myself in complete silence for a moment of communion with myself. It's imperative for me. And I would recommend that you consider practicing it for yourself. Meditation doesn't have to be a long practice. Mine's is. At this point in my life, yeah, I'll meditate for a good hour or two. And it feels great. But it started with just like 10 minutes. Just being. If you look around nature, just about everything you see in it has a significant period of time of just being. Outside of sleep. If you have a dog or a cat, you probably see this. Or if you have a fish, you'll see this. Where they're just still. With no activity really going on. They're just being. And I think that is imperative to practice to maintain your balance in life. To maintain your balance in most things. So, practical strategy. Track 1 week honestly. Your sleep hours, your food intake, your movement, your stress levels, your stillness. Just track it for a week and see where you stand. See if you like what you're doing, and if you don't, change it. But it's hard to change things you're not fully aware of. After you write it down, if you decide it's something you want to change, maybe it's multiple things you want to change. Identify the biggest one. The one that'll move the needle the most. If you're a person struggling with your weight, if the balance that you're looking for is in your diet, let that be the thing you tackle first. Let the awareness of your calorie intake and how you're treating your body be important enough to document. If it's sleep, same thing. Make it important enough to document. Make it important enough for you to take action. If you're like, man, what really helped me is if I get 2 more hours of sleep. And then don't compromise with it. Find those 2 hours. It might not be connected with the 6 that you get at night. Maybe it's 2 hours somewhere else. Maybe it's a 2-hour nap that gets you rejuvenated for the end of your day. The next one is your mental and emotional balance. That's how you handle your logic and emotions, your challenges, processing, and your peace. Your logic and emotions are constantly battling with each other all throughout the day. Now, as a man, my logic is the stronger sense that I hold on to. But if I just hold on to logic It's going to be hard to lead without emotions. It's going to be hard to help without emotions. I can create plans and execute them, but that execution might not be landing right because I don't have that emotional tie to it. I can talk to my wife or my kids about X, Y, and Z, but if I don't connect with them emotionally, I'm not actually teaching them. I'm not actually showing them what they need to learn. I'm just giving them information. And then your challenges versus the relaxation that I would say the ease you have. That was why I say the opposite of challenges. It's not really opposite. But you're either working on something challenging or you're working on something that's easy to you. And sometimes it's a mix of both. In the gym, you might be doing a simple squat. But as you rep that squat, that ease starts to turn into a challenge. But the balancing of those throughout your day becomes important. Because if your day is filled with challenges and then you come to something easy, your brain is still going to be ready for the challenges. You see this show up if after a long day of work and you come home and you seem to be short with everybody. Because your brain is still wired to fix things quickly. Because that's what you've been working on all day. You've been trying to fix this, change this, adjust this, maneuver this. And so being aware of what's challenging and what's easy. Home should be easy. Hugging and loving your kids, that should be easy. Being affectionate with your wife, that should be easy. And we should cherish those moments with the same intensity. You should bring the same intensity to those easy moments as you do to those challenging ones. And then you got your stress and your peace. Necessary tension balanced with genuine calm. Genuine calm is the key. Sitting not doing nothing isn't a genuine calm. Peace is a state of mind that is beyond the external situation that you're in. Peace is an understanding that is beyond the information that you're dealing with. It's necessary in your overall well-being to have a place of peace. And this place isn't physical. It can be. It helps if it is. Getting yourself in an environment that commonly brings you peace will definitely help you find peace faster. Will definitely help you get to that landing point quicker, but it's not necessary. Peace is a state of mind, the understanding. And anytime you feel the stress, you have the opportunity to go to the peace. That's one of the things that I first started practicing when I was meditating. Is how to just relax genuinely. How to feel my heart rate go down. How to feel my breathing calm down. And there's ways you can handle this stuff. Pretty simple. Something simple as, like we stated before, something simple as 10 minutes of stillness in the morning. Before you start checking phones, before you start checking email, just be awake, alert, and present. Another thing you can do is processing time. Don't feel rushed to answer every question just because they're done asking it. Don't feel pressured to commit to every opportunity someone gives you or throw at you. process what you really need and what you really want and what really moves the needle for you. Because that is balance as well. Telling people no, that's a cheat code. A common trap is real men don't need to process emotions. The reality is, unprocessed emotions don't disappear, they show themselves all the time. And you know this when you are irritable, when you're making poor decisions, when your health just doesn't feel good. Those unprocessed emotions create an imbalance that shows results in all aspects of your life. Another thing is our relational balance. So, what I mean by relational balance, how much you give and receive from the relationships that you cultivate. Providing balance with accepting help. Being that provider, being that strength, being that leader, but accepting the love, the support, the advice. Being able to give all of you to your relationships while accepting all of them in that relationship as well is the balance that you're looking for. And you can even have this appear up in proximity. Sometimes the relationship is best with space in between, proximity wise. Some of my friends, some of my homeboys, it doesn't matter when I see them. It's like I haven't missed a day of seeing them. The proximity really doesn't matter. But if I see them, well, I'll take that back. The proximity does matter in this instance because when I see them repeatedly back to back to back to back, that excitement, that joy, that banter doesn't seem to be the same. And there's no slight on the relationship. Some relationships are better with space between. Now, I wouldn't want to do that with my lady. That'd be crazy talk. I wouldn't want that space between someone that I'm intimate with or I care about on that level. But others, it's okay. You got to have relationships that you can be strong in, but you also need relationships that you can be vulnerable in. As a man, we tend to keep our vulnerability to ourselves, and that's cool because I do it too. But there is I'll call it a cheat code because I can't think of a different word. There is a cheat code with having someone you can be vulnerable with. A lot of times I find that vulnerability in books because I haven't found the right mix of relationships for people. But that ability to be truly vulnerable and allow that vulnerability to access those wounds to heal, that's a level of strength that's generally not talked about. And if you can find yourself in that position to be that strong, you will see the benefits of creating that balance in your life. mm. So what I suggest, some practical things you could do is audit your relationships. See who drains you. See who fills you. See who relationship is reciprocating the same type of energy that you're giving. And like most things, if you take data on it, that means you care about it. That's a good indication that you care if you're willing to write it down. You have to have a separation between your primary relationships and your secondary relationships. Those relationships that requires your focus, your attention, it requires your logic, your emotions, your strategies, your plans. It requires that. But then there's secondary relationships that doesn't. It's more of a distraction, a coexistence, a partnership. Like a friend. But being able to identify which is which will allow you to create that balance within it. So that you're not using your time and energy on a secondary relationship while depleting a primary relationship. Friends is essential. Brothers are essential. And do you have that? Do you have the men around you that you can be open, honest, and real with, that can be open, honest, and real with you back? If not, especially as a man. Now, this is just from my observations. But as a man, it becomes very important not only to have great relationships with your children, not only to have great relationships with your lady or your significant other, but to have great relationships with other men. Most men can survive without kids and a woman. But it becomes very difficult to survive without other men. So if you don't have a relationship with other men, I encourage you, find some. One or two, doesn't take a lot. Maybe it's a group. Maybe it's an organization that has a bunch of men in it. A common trap is I provide financially. That's my relationship contribution. Financial provision is one form of investment. Without presence, emotional availability, and partnership, the relationship calculus is deeply imbalanced. Your provision is just a part of you, a small part of you. Your provision as a leader, a teacher, is way more impactful than the money you bring in. And I understand that socially, most people don't consider that. Most people don't consider that the man is there for the character and attributes that he brings. Most people don't consider that to be your best asset to the family structure or to the social structure. But it is. Money is a great thing to have. Go get your bag. As many as you need. But if you have a bag, but you're not teaching integrity, you're not building character, you're not planning and executing strategy, you're not showing them the love of a man, the money becomes a hollow gift. They can't replace what they're missing. The next thing in the final little piece is the purpose and meaning. There has to be balance in your purpose and your meaning. Whether that's your ambitions, whether that's your work, whether that's the achievements you're after, individually or collectively, there has to be balance. My personal goals can't be to change the world and leave my family stagnant. That's no level of balance. The impact could be great for a lot of people, but if it takes away from the people that are looking to you to be great, you miss the mark. Our ambitions, if our ambitions and our service is properly placed, it should promote more balance in your life. My achievements should include everything I'm a part of. Like I said, I believe balance is a fundamental, foundational character trait of masculinity. I believe a man's idea in most situations is to create balance, whether he knows it or not. When the kids are acting crazy and your lady's going crazy with them, it's not that you're trying to fix every little situation, but you want it to come to a point of balance where that situation can be fixed. That's a good one. I wrote this down. Achievement versus being. Being balanced with simply existing. At the basis of everything, I believe that the balance that we're all looking for comes from that place of stillness. And I believe that because of the examples that I observe. When you see when you see water get kind of shaken around or moved around, whether it's a cup, bowl, whatever the container is, doesn't really matter. But at that level of peace, it looks like a mirror. It's as still and calm as everything else. Jeez, I forgot where I was going with that. Oh well, on to the next. Some practical strategies. Define what enough is. What is your actual target? When we're talking about our purposes and the meanings behind them, what are you actually aiming for? I want a good life isn't good enough. It's not specific enough. A good life could mean anything. I want people to be happy can mean anything. What is enough? Legacy thinking. Will this matter in 5 years, 20 years, or your deathbed? When we're looking at our achievements and our purposes, I'm hoping that the future is a part of your sight. I'm hoping that the things that you pick to create that balance, in order to see the long-term effect of the balance, it has to be. Because if I project my systems, if I project my ideas to create balance for me and people around me, these systems should be able to work long term so that you're just maneuvering from new circumstances. It doesn't become a constant adjustment of everything all the time, because that becomes very, very difficult to maintain. So a common trap is I'll be happy when I'll achieve X. Achievement without contentment is a hamster wheel. Balance means pursuing growth while finding meaning in the present. That is so important. The achievements, the goals, and all the aspects of you finding balance and everything that you find balance in, it genuinely starts with you. You can't project and create something that's not a part of you. If you don't have the balance or the idea of what balance feels like and looks like, you'll just create more turbulence. A warrior without balance is a barbarian. True martial mastery isn't about maximum aggression. It's about calibrated force. The samurai didn't swing wildly. They struck with precision, born from perfect balance, physically and mentally. Your career isn't a battlefield of constant warfare. It's just a construct requiring you to strategize, requiring you to be engaged and effective. Relationships aren't a battle to conquest. It's more of a mutual agreement or alliance where I invest in you and you invest in me. Your body isn't just an engine that you rev up and run fast until it throws a rod or breaks and blows up. It's a weapon that you can use to maintain and execute all the plans of your life. But a king who rules through extremes, whether all mercy or all punishment, all work or all play, all control or all delegation, creates chaos. A balanced king creates order. He's firm but fair, decisive but thoughtful, powerful but restrained. In essence, he's balanced. A king who, I read that already. Oh, man. Where am I at? The culture confusion. Modern culture has given men two broken options: either toxic masculinity or neutered masculinity. We're either too pushy, too strong, too aggressive, too dominant, or too emotional, too weak, too complacent, too nonchalant. But that's what society runs on, the extremes. But we have to be balanced. We have to find that happy medium between the toxic and the neutered. You have to be strong, but you must be vulnerable. You have to be ambitious, but you must be content. You have to be independent, all the while being completely connected. You have to be confident, but yet and still humble. And you have to be driven, all the while being present. It isn't really a contradiction of ideas. It's really just a balance of energy. Where am I at? Where do I want to go? Boom, 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 boom. Nope, nope, not saying that. I got more notes than I need to talk about. Oh man, what's up, Roman? I don't even know how to reply on these. That's hilarious. Oh man. All right. Oh, this is just a bunch of habit stacks that you could do. All right, so you're at a decision point. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, but right now, in this moment, you're choosing one or two paths. You're either going to go with a familiar imbalance, you're going to stick with the same regimen and routine that you've been going through, going to work long hours, come home angry and mad at everybody that's there, and then not do much else but go to sleep. You'll still live that. You'll still live that life where you can create what you need, but it's not fully fulfilled. Or you can return back to balance. And I say return to balance on purpose because originally that's where you started. You can choose, and it doesn't take a dramatic situation or a dramatic event to change everything as long as you start changing something. And so just choose one area, make a change, and then build from there. Whether that's building on that one change that you made or you start another change and you allow these systems to work and grow in tandem. In 5 years or in 20 years or in however long you want to pick a number, you will see that the work you're putting in now has created tremendous effects for the future that's allowing for fulfillment regardless of other external situations. Because like I said, you have to embody it before you can project it on your life. And so these are the steps, these incremental changes is you learning how to embody that balance so that you can project it. Now, granted, staying the same is way easier than ever changing anytime ever. But the regret and the load that comes from staying the same for most people isn't worth it. So I challenge you to find those things, that you can adjust. I'm a firm believer that we all know exactly what we need to get exactly what we want. It's not really a mystery. It's not really a riddle. It just becomes a willingness. Are you willing to create the framework and the language necessary to create a change? Will you choose balance? Will you reclaim what always been yours? Balance isn't a destination, it's a practice, a daily choice. It's a masculine birthright that you've allowed to be stolen by systems that profit from your imbalance. Take it back, not for some abstract idea, but for your health, your family, your peace, and your life. You're designed for balance. It's time to live like it. And so, for my final call to action, My final call to action would be just to find time to look at the imbalances that you currently have. And it might not be many, they might be small, and blessings to you if they are. Or they might be really, really big. But either way, the work is the same. I'm a firm believer you take assessment on things you care about. So if it's something that you care about, write it down. Write it down because that data doesn't change. The thoughts and ideas that we have in our head changes daily, changes every time we rethink about it. So write it down so you can be consistent and on target. And you don't have to keep thinking about it. And then find the change that you need. Yeah, if you're overweight by 40 pounds, you're probably not going to lose 40 pounds tomorrow. But if you can change your breakfast choices, that's a step in the right direction. If you can change your late night snacking options, that's a step in the right direction. It's just taking that step. I am so happy and grateful for your time. I thank you for being here, watching me yap in this yap session. If anything was said, as always, these are just my 2 cents. It's not worth much. So if it's not for you, you can leave it right here. But hopefully, it helps you complete a transaction. An idea, it sparks another idea. That sparks another idea that gets you active and moving to your best life. Or at least a better version of it. And if that's the case, I'm forever grateful for that. If you like, subscribe. If not, hit me back when you get back. Check me out when you check me out. As always, in the House of Solutions, all questions are uncovered. Keep searching.